Hi, welcome to XReality Podcast. I'm the host, Dominic Wu, and beside me is my guest, Jamie Donally. Hi, Jamie. Could you share a little bit about your background with us?
Sure. Yeah, I am a former educator. Worked with students as a math teacher and later moved into instructional technology, supporting teachers and using technology. Now I currently work at a company, EdTech company called Jamf, and do marketing and customer support and things of that sort, events and things with Jamf. And I also am a consultant on augmented and virtual reality, working with schools and companies to be able to support them in leveraging this in the classroom.
Whoa. Yeah. What's your journey of being where you are today?
Yeah. So really, I found a passion for teaching pretty early on. I was coaching sports and just found that I loved working with students. So then I was thinking, well, what can I do that would align with that? And started kind of getting the itch to start teaching. And I think I was like, "Well, what can I teach? What would be something I'd be good enough to teach at?" And I felt like math is one of those subjects that probably came most natural to me than the others. So I started pursuing going into teaching, ended up teaching math really for several years from preschool all the way through eighth grade at different places, public, private. Um, Working in just a lot of different areas with students from, gifted and talented down to students that struggled. I personally found the most satisfaction working with the kids that really struggled with math and just found a love for working with students. So math was the avenue, but really like my passion behind it was working with kids, building relationship, encouraging them. Um, and then later, the opportunity came up because I was just doing a lot of technology, really excited to learn the technology. An opportunity came up to start teaching teachers how to leverage technology in their classrooms. So I became an instructional technologist in a couple different districts here in East Texas, and just really found passion for bringing in cool technology and what are the possibilities. On the process, first year of starting this journey, I was exposed to augmented reality, or at least the name of augmented reality. So that led me down another journey. So yeah, that's kind of where we've been.
Wow. So how do you see the math and also technology? What types of technology you apply in your teaching and how this turns to be teaching the teacher? For example, a lot of teachers really like the way or the technology you bring, and so you start navigating through the way how to teach the teachers, right? And also, what types of AR? Because you mentioned AR, what's the benefit to use AR inside your curriculum or activities to enhance the learning?
Yeah, that's a lot. So starting with math, I will say with math, it was the technology I used was whatever was available. So some schools I didn't have a whole lot of technology available. Students didn't have devices, individual devices at the time. Some schools they had personal iPads. Some schools they had Chromebooks.
Mm,
Some schools they had access to, um, you know, uh, maybe a cart of items. Maybe iPods at the time. So looking kind of in transition and what resources I had really depended on, what I had access to for my students. There were years where I had pretty much a computer lab in my classroom. So I was able to have all my students on a computer at one time. And so leveraged a lot web-based experiences. And so you being able to leverage that and just especially for the students that struggle in math to bring something like technology and connection to it. I got to see some students really thrive in that. They would struggle with math, but yet they were thriving in technology. So being able to give them kind of a benefit of working in an area that they really enjoyed and were good at, and connect it to something that they were struggling with, it gave them more confidence to approach math. So we would play games. I would have them build things like build, websites or build, music videos or whatever it is, bringing things back and connecting it back. And of course, hands-on was always really important. So it wasn't just exclusive technology. I'm really not an advocate for that. I think it's a piece of all of that, right? So, as a classroom teacher, I loved using technology. I personally enjoyed it, but then I got to see students really thrive in that. And it was an incentive for them to really engage in content. As an instructional technologist, that was next level. That was definitely like, okay, what are the possibilities? Where can we run with this? What does this look like in other subject matter areas? What does this look like for the kids that are thriving? What does this look like for the kids that are struggling? So just being super like open-ended. What are the possibilities? What is this specific need? How do we accomplish the goals based upon what we have available to us? So, um, and then what's coming, how do you prepare for the future? So there's a lot in that. AR was a piece and it always has been a piece of the possibility. I don't think everybody in every class for every subject needs to be using augmented and virtual reality. I think that it is a resource just like any other resource out there. Just most people don't know how many resources are available in augmented and virtual reality. So my goal is always just equipping them with, this is what I found. This is the possibility of using something like this. Here's how you get started. Here's step-by-step instructions. So it was just kind of a guidance of, starting with no knowledge. I don't know the purpose of this to, hey, I'm ready to jump into something. I think it's really going to benefit my students. Here's the reasons why.
Yeah. So, um, for math, right? Because I find out the same thing is that, for example, like a CTE, career-based, like a technology, like for example, like a workforce,
Right.
like a hands-on things, like a EV training or nursing. That immersive technology is really, really helpful, and also STEM. STEM is also helpful too. For example, like biology, the cell structure, DNA structure,
Mhm.
and also you see like the entire body structure and how heart pumping because right, because the nerves or the blood vessels uh,
Mhm.
uh, for the eye structure, all those sometimes using 2D textbook is very hard to understand, but
Right.
by visualization and also math, right? Because I saw like there are a couple of like apps on iPad
Mhm.
using, your pen, pencil, and you just write something or you draw
Mhm.
something and you start animate it. So
Absolutely.
when I saw that, I was like, wow. When I was young, I was trying to, you see, like a trigonometry, right?
Yeah.
It just like trying to figure it out. Yeah, figure it out what things will be. And I remember I need to start drawing a lot of charts, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes if it is three-dimensional, if you are not good at drawing, it's like a while after you draw it, you were like, eh, what's this? Yeah, so I think math is a really, really good way to visualize, same as like physics and
Right.
also biology, right? So I do see the same. And also, what do you see about more like humanity subject? Because I also have a startup. We start with the more like humanity subject. But the
Mhm.
thing about it is that, for example, we are trying to turn Moby Dick into a VR experience. I'm also a
Mhm.
developer. So when I was trying to do that, first we need to do a very detailed mapping about the town, right? The
Mhm.
old town, and there are not many, places.
Mhm.
We couldn't find any online SS store selling that town, so we need to redo it. So I just realized that wow, for English or history, a lot of things that we need to build that spend much much more time compared with the STEM because STEM there are a lot of existing 3D and all we need to do is to revamp it. So for the creation of the um, apps or the materials, STEM or CTE are much easier for me as a developer than humanity. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and STEM and
So
CTE.
yeah.
Yeah. has
I
the
on the
correct answer.
storytelling side, I think
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great point, actually. Some subjects definitely allow for immersive technology in a way
Mm,
that is pretty natural.
mm,
I I agree. When I was learning trigonometry, I absolutely loved it. But I also have the mind to be able to visualize it.
mm,
And I think that's where some of my students that really struggled. Either they were really good at algebra, or they were really good at trigonometry or, geometry. So you just kind of had these different mindsets. Like, can I piece together in my brain what something would actually physically look like? And I think that's where the immersive technology takes the learning to the next step, because when do they actually just need to do it on paper? I mean, yes, there are some careers that obviously practically will use it on pen and paper, but most of the time it's in the physical that you actually have to make decisions. I'm having to look at square footage. I'm having to look at volume in the space. I'm having to think about things and actually explore a space based upon being there, not just when does this math actually apply to me? Well, it's in the real world, which is three-dimensional. So, when you can take the concept of I'm learning these mathematical concepts for a purpose in life, I think that's where this technology really kind of connects all those dots, because it's not just, hey, memorize, memorize. These are facts. You got to have them down. But instead, it's like, no, no, no. I'm purposely applying what I just learned in that mathematical fact to something that's real and relevant, and I'm actually seeing it take place in real life here. So those are, a lot of different things. I mean, in building projects, I think, talking through mathematical trigonometry, let's say, um, when we're talking about, building these things, why do I need to know angles? Like, what's the purpose of understanding that formula? So you start seeing kind of the relevance using this tech that you wouldn't. Now, interestingly enough, you're talking about Moby Dick. I mean, storytelling to me is a really powerful way of using immersive tech. I mean, it captivates you in a way that you really can't just reading it. Your brain does some really cool stuff when you're reading a book and you're visualizing a story. But when you can actually explore a story further and learn more about the story by going into this immersive experience, and then all of a sudden you become the center of the story, and that it's relevant to you because you're seeing it all unfold in front of you. And maybe there's times where you take a story and you extend it out to what your preference is, right? Like, seeing the story unfold as you make decisions. So there's things that I think when it comes to how we take this technology, and instead of it being, substitution for what we would normally do in the classroom, but actually leveraging it in a way that allows somebody to understand deeper, to finally make connections that are relevant to their life. That's where we really see the power of immersive technology.
Yeah, I think, for example, like for humanity, right? If there's a really well-made app, let's say, for because I saw a lot of interesting like storytelling, right? And the user will totally immersive in. And I remember a long time ago, I interviewed another professor who
Mhm.
used like a doll's house, or that there was a literature that's the professor creates an environment. Even though it's like she just used like a 2D PNG, put like a
Yeah.
space,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
she does that, the female and male, students getting because it's more like an adult class. So
Mhm.
she just find out that a lot of inner feelings came out. Like even for male, for example, like the man, they feel like, oh, they shouldn't, like the woman shouldn't be bounded by the house or something. They feel like the male audience or students has more feelings towards that literature. That wasn't happen if they just read the book. There are a lot of interesting. It's more like she used more like a web XR, right? You
Mhm.
get in
Yep.
and you navigate around. It's more like a 3D game on your website,
Yeah.
web browser. And she said that a lot of students, when using a lot of symbols showing up, even though it's not real, like a super triple A immersive experience, is more like a faculty trying to build, uh, kind of like a maze
Right.
for that character because the faculty understand the story really well. So she is building something, but student kind of can get all the stuff. She put like a lot of walls. It's more like a museum, and
Mhm,
putting the kind of like the center characters
mhm,
story and navigates through each wall. And at the
mhm,
end, there was a big bird, and then she was like, "Oh, this woman was like a cage and being controlled by all the mains like in the past." So
mhm,
it's like, and student can empathize the story more than just because I think reading the book, it's great, right? But if there's any interactive types of activities, it just supplement that another
mhm.
layers of storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So my daughter years ago was really into American Girl dolls. And so, but at the time, there was some technology coming out, of course, using AI before generative AI.
Mm,
AI has been used with immersive tech forever. But it was leveraging AI for facial recognition, and it was taking an image that you take with your
mm,
camera, it converting it to a 3D object
mm,
that then becomes a mask for your face. So
mm,
you could take pictures of different things, and then that then overlays on your face, and
mm,
all of your facial movement actually aligns with that 3D object that it becomes, right? So
mm,
in her case, she took her American Girl doll, took a picture of her American Girl doll, the Girl doll face went on layered on top of hers, and then she shared the story because every American Girl doll has a book associated, right?
mm.
So then she shared the story about her American Girl doll and with that visual as she's sharing it. So she became the character, right?
Oh, mhm,
And I think that's again, it's letting, I think book reports, you can write a book report using AI in five
mm,
seconds and you can know absolutely nothing. Or you could write the basic, this is what it is. I wrote about it. This is what I get. But when you are put to a test of taking a video with becoming the character and you're
mm,
having to describe that character as the character,
mm,
um, it just, I think, brings that one as a teacher. I would much rather see something like that. I would want to know
mm,
that you understand the character to that depth that you
mm,
could become that character,
mm,
as opposed to just blanket, book report.
mm,
So there's an extension with this kind of technology that, yes, becomes personal, becomes relevant, and certainly becomes more engaging for our kids. So it all the possibilities are really endless, and that's the beauty of this tech, is that we're not confined to just this is the one way of using it. I've done tons of different things with them, WebXR experiences. I've built some spaces with Dr. Mary Alice Curran, who it was really digital citizenship. Like she was teaching kind of the foundation of what schools need to consider in digital citizenship. And so we did a project together where we did a maze and we were teaching the digital citizenship pillars
mm,
and decisions that people need to make and using technology, and we made a maze, a WebXR maze together. And in that maze, they had to make decisions. Am I
mm,
going to repeat my password, or am I going to use a password manager? Or like, what are my choices here? So every move in the maze was a decision
mm,
that required them to make a digital citizenship decision. And
mm,
either they were going to make a good one or they're going
mm,
to make a bad one. And whatever way they went, if they made a bad one, they would eventually run into a wall and have to turn back around. If they made a good one, it guided them through the maze. So it was like teaching them about these concepts, having them think through
mm.
the decisions that they're making, but then you get the reward of making it through that maze, which is very difficult to make without those questions embedded because everything looks the same in WebXR when you're looking at a maze like that. So, but it's opportunities like that for us as teachers to build like that teacher you were talking about, that professor, but it's also opportunity for our kids to be able to demonstrate their knowledge in that way and being able to express that creatively and, beneficially for everyone, for the educator and for the student.
So this the way that you mention is more like that kids to build something that they understand already. It's like, for
Mhm.
example, oh, math, right? Build something for me instead of giving me the correct
Mhm.
answer, right?
Right.
So what do you see like the building and learning these types of think because I remember there's a theory. It's called constructives,
Mhm.
constructivism. Constructivism. So it's more like you build, and according to your previous knowledge, you keep building. So it's like you just do and learning at the same time. And what do you see this types of, for example, like is there any current technologies that reinforce those types of education purpose? For example, like a Roblox. As far as I know, Roblox they have education plan, right? And also Minecraft. There are a lot of like hands-on building. And what types of tools or just pen and paper you use for these types of like build things? Yeah.
That's a good question. So my opinion is that we don't always just immediately have students be the creators of content.
Mm,
I think we need to have that as a part of their journey, but I do think there is a time for them to absorb some information. I mean, we can't just keep saying don't absorb anything and we expect you to produce something new from that.
mm,
Um, but and there is learning that they're going to be of course, gathering as they're building something. But I think that the point isn't we say all, create, eliminate all of the information that they're going to ingest.
mm,
I think that there's different aspects in a lesson where you're going to need to deliver some information. There is going to be a lecture, that
mm,
there's going to be a piece of the students retrieving. And there are a ton of different resources in immersive tech that actually deliver content, right? That will
mm,
give you information and you're essentially going to take what you just learned from that and then you're going to maybe respond to questions or you're gonna, see the results of that. You're gonna see the experience. I'm thinking about, for instance, McGraw-Hill. They have an augmented reality app that they have where, I learned about Boston Massacre. Should have already known about Boston Massacre. Did not pay attention, apparently, in school when I was learning about it. But here I am, like doing this activity for students in Boston Massacre, and I'm seeing all the perspectives it has in this augmented reality scene that's set up on my table.
mm,
I'm seeing the individuals that were part of this and hearing all of their perspectives.
mm,
And so then I'm like, wow, I wish I would have had that. Like I got to go to each individual as I needed to, as I
mm.
wanted to.
Yeah.
And I wasn't just listening to a video and giving me information. I was going to the characters, I'm gathering their information, seeing this happen in place. Okay. So
Mm,
on that hand, I'm gaining information from
mm,
this experience.
mm,
Then you can rebuild the Boston Massacre based upon what you know, right? So maybe I go over to a DelightX who is like Roblox and they're the builder of educational content. So
mm,
when I'm looking at DelightX and I'm going there and I'm finding how to rebuild the Boston Massacre, and maybe I need to have the characters in place and I give them maybe speech bubbles or I have audio going. I might have, spatial sound going where you're hearing different things as you're walking around and exploring. Um, my students then can essentially build together. So I have a group of students that are all rebuilding this scene. Maybe they're extending it and saying, what would happen after that? What happens if this went a different direction? What would that scene look like? What are the potentials, right?
mm,
So as you're kind of hearing like the opportunities for students, they're not just stuck with, hey, I'm listening.
mm,
Let me just repeat after you. But they're taking the information that they just gained, they're applying it. Maybe they're extending it, the possibilities, but they're applying it and demonstrating their knowledge and then extending it from there. But I think that's the progression of most lessons, right? There's
mm,
new information I'm going to give to you.
mm,
Let's process this. Let's talk through this. Let's have the conflict.
mm,
And then let's move forward with, where does this benefit us? Who can this support? Where does this apply in life? And then, or, come up with the extension of, demonstrating that knowledge, which can be endless too. So, um, there's good apps for different things. There doesn't mean we say all of them be at DelightX as creators. Well, if they don't have anything that they've learned to apply, what exactly are they going to demonstrate? So, or that, hey, they gave information, but now we don't have any idea how they did. Maybe I can assess them through a multiple choice question, but does that really demonstrate their knowledge? Can they actually apply what they've learned here for their own lives. So, yeah. Anyway, so I think there's really cool stuff out there that apply to different, you know, objectives and goals for our classrooms and what they're trying to accomplish in those lessons for students.
Wow. So, what types of, for example, like math activity or any other course activities you find that student had a lot of fun building things?
Yeah.
Do you have
Uh,
any examples?
it's so funny because math it was always like the first thing people ask me, "Oh, you were a math teacher? Where's some math activities in immersive tech?" And I'm like, there are none. They're all terrible, they
Uh,
all just do what you're doing on a piece of paper. They don't even need to be immersive tech the way they made it. But I am now eating my words because I got to see some really cool stuff come out. McGraw-Hill is actually one that the reason why I even started checking out their app was their math. They started off with sharing different math activities. One of the things that I remember is talking about slope. And so, you actually have somebody skiing down the slope and it's showing the grade, the percentage of grade for them and where they're skiing and how quickly they go down the hill or then you're put to the test, but you're not put to the test with multiple choice. You're put to the test by actually having a skater and you're having to change the degree, that percentage, and to identify what percentage is actually going to allow you to land on this triangle, right? That you need to land on the other side so that they're looking at so many different aspects, but then it's completely three-dimensional. So you as a
mm,
student can walk around this and make predictions and let me see what happens. And it never fails. They all want to see him crash. It's like the funnest part isn't actually making it successful. The funnest part is seeing him hit into the wall or jump way too high and start rolling down the hill. The students love to see the error before they like seeing the success, right?
mm.
Uh, but those are things that I think are just really fun. They've done an incredible job. The person behind building the math activities, he's pretty sharp. He is very creative and he comes up with some really cool ways of presenting the technology in a way that's super beneficial for students to understand deeper math, understand the foundations of why we do what we do, and then how do you make those connections to really difficult topics as they move forward. So it's just really kind of guiding and doing it in a playful way. I mean, one of the things I always say for the McGraw-Hill app is like they make learning fun. And so this immersive experience is so fun and engaging that you're not telling kids that this is what they have to do. It's because they want to do it. DelightX I mentioned before, same boat. It's like these kids are going home and working on it just like they do in Roblox. They go home and work on it on the weekends. They're working, they're doing it outside of school because they love building. They love being the designer of content. So all we really do is just equip them with here's the resource. Let's get started.
Wow. So yeah, I just actually checked McGraw Hill AR, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the project? And I saw some images and it looks very, very fun. And I saw like a mess, like that there are a lot of like storytelling and also like for example, building stuff. Yeah, I think kids will love this because we all know that when we talk about education, gamification, um, people's first things come to mind is that it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because a lot of gamify stuff is because I think education itself, it has a lot of learning objectives, right? Need to meet. So if things is too entertaining, it might
Mhm.
lose that, focus. How to
That's right.
balance the entertainment part and versus the educational side. And also for STEAM, yeah, I feel like you need to get to the point very
Yes.
quickly. Because sometimes if your storytelling is too long, it just go, yeah, students just lose their focus.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's
True.
really yeah. So besides math, do you have any other like or McGraw-Hill, the AR app? Do you have any other app you suggest that is fun and for some teachers who listen to our podcast, they can also try it?
Yeah, my whole website is full of tons and tons and tons of blogs about augmented and virtual reality apps. My whole goal is to what should be in the classroom.
Wow.
You may find some that aren't listed because I don't feel like they're really something I want to promote because they may be difficult to include in the classroom. They may be something that, really doesn't make sense financially for a budget reason, for various reasons. So, they may look great and they may be marketed well, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a practical application that should be leveraged in the classroom. So, you mentioned CTE. There's lots of different things out there for that subject. Of course, there's tons of other technologies out there. AR and VR in specific is my passion for this. So I'll share, where can you find this augmented reality app? I show a video of it, show step-by-step instructions. I just finished an experience that, every March I do 31 days of AR, VR in EDU. And so I just finished 31 different tools, things that they can apply and learn and grow from. Sometimes it's, resources on professional development for the educator. Sometimes it's, a resource to go to. Maybe it's a tool. So there's tons of things. Merge, I mention almost all the time. Merge is another one that's one of my favorites. I think it's very easy to implement into a classroom. So my goal behind this is that anybody and everybody can jump right in. That uh McGraw-Hill is a good example. What if you don't have iPads? Well, they have a web-based experience. It's not WebXR, but it is web-based, and they're able then to go in and kind of give an illusion like they're in a classroom, kind of exploring this activity. Um, DelightX actually uses WebXR, so you can go in and see from that perspective. You're not restrained and restricted to have it done in a headset, for instance. So I love VR applications that I can share, but I love when it's cross-platform. That makes it really easy to share out with those tools. So you're going to find a lot of things, that I would say Merge is probably the most popular on my website that I'll share out. The stuff that they have coming up soon, soon, soon. You as a developer, you're gonna absolutely love. So, and this summer we're gonna start seeing some things released that really demonstrate the use of AI and where we're going with that technology. So, yeah, there's a million. So I think it's over 300 now, 300 blogs on augmented and virtual reality apps, so you can find something for everyone.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, I just get into your website and I saw like,
Yeah.
wow, this is amazing because I think, sometimes we need somebody to, get in and start
Mhm.
showing up that's what types of tools that we can use for XR. And I think your blog really helps the educator perspective because as far as I know some of my friends, they do more like games, right? More focus. I think game, if you Google it, everybody is talking about what's the best VR game or Steam
Yeah.
game. Those I think is a little bit overdone because young people love doing that and doing more and more. So it becomes a
Mhm.
community. But I think education, I can see less and less people. First, educators are so busy with their, you see a lot of things from administration, right? A lot of forms to fill. And also students, right? When you teach, it's not like, oh, log in, log out, right? You have
Mhm.
a lot of responsibilities. For example, like students will ask you additional time, right? So there are a lot of additional supports for students. And also you need to create and prepare your curriculum. So it's
Right.
like as far as I know, for higher education, yeah, so we can see probably top 1 to 5% of faculties has more time to do something like you, like, oh, I want to do AR, VR, I want to do something pioneer.
Mhm.
However, I would say 95% of faculties, they start scared of technology. And some of them even say that, oh, I have no AI policy. That is a little bit, I understand that a lot of people concerned that, oh, if you let kids K-12 use AI too early, they won't think. But is there any way that we can integrate AI into your pedagogy and also your kind of like a learning objectives. So student can not only not exclusive this so important technology outside of their learning area just because some papers said that oh you will make you not thinking but maybe make AI to be part of the thinking process. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think AI has been around for a very long time. Without it, I don't think we would have made it to where we are today, right?
Mm,
So, the technology from a developer standpoint has given a lot of opportunity for growth, exponential growth very quickly when it comes to immersive tech, because really you're dependent on assets, 3D assets.
mm,
And so whether that be a scene, whether that be individual objects, I mean, you need objects to make immersive spaces.
mm,
And, before it was like depending on someone to actually do it. Whether you're doing 3D scanning, which we have the capabilities of now because of AI, where I could take my phone and scan something and it turns into a 3D object, or, I was literally step by step putting, my triangles in there and building something from scratch. So I think there's a lot of aspects on how AI has given a rise to this technology. When it comes to classroom usage, it's very interesting. It is such a I mean, there's not a product out there where you can get by without AI having something to do with it. So if you're like, "Oh, no AI ever." Well, I mean, you're on Zoom, and guess what Zoom uses? Oh, it uses AI. You're using a microphone that's now picking up your background sound from your phone. Oh, it's blocking out, the noise from the background. Oh, that's AI. I mean, I think that, I'm taking a photo with my phone. I'm getting directions to where I need to go. Oh, it's taking in a lot of data, live data. Oh, that's AI. So you're looking at how AI affects us all. And for us to kind of put our head in the sand and say that our kids need to eliminate AI as a resource, I think that's not wise. I do think, because I do work for a company where obviously privacy is a big piece of what we're talking about. Student privacy, we need to be cautious that we're not bringing students into a position to where their information, such as their facial recognition, right?
mm,
The data from our faces is not something we necessarily want everybody to have access to.
mm,
So where we're going in the future and how we're going to be communicating and even social media and
mm.
those types of things, we are responsible as educators to bring our students in a space to where they're not accidentally or just flat out giving out their information that really is not our job to lead them into. Our job is to protect them. So I think there's a balance. There's always a balance. There's good ways to use AI. There's bad ways to use AI. And just like any other technology we've ever had, we don't say don't go on the internet, don't go use your browser because there's bad stuff out there. We teach them what to avoid with that bad stuff. We teach them how to protect themselves. We teach them what things to look after and what things to watch for. We don't tell them never open up a computer because there's risk. We tell them let's weigh our risks. What are the benefits that we're going to get out of this? What is our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? If you're saying, they can cheat, well, they can cheat in a bunch of different ways. And they could have somebody else write the paper all together. So, what exactly are we doing as educators to help set up a student for success without completely taking away the fact that AI is and will always be part of their future? So, we've got to take into account that they have to have the skill sets for their future, and we need to teach them how to use those different technologies responsibly.
Yeah. Do you have any, for example, like other ways for teachers to integrate AI? For example, like I interview another um, um, kind of like the professor teaching political science. So she asked students to ask each different prompts, like a
Mhm,
different AI prompts, like a Grok, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity,
mhm.
OpenAI, ask everybody the same question and ask student which one is
The
the
best
best.
response. Yeah.
Yes, and why, and which one has bias and tell
Mhm.
me why. And also, give me, after you read all those response, give me the best answer. You kind of
Yeah.
use yours and also judgment and combine with everybody's. So I think maybe this can be another way of teaching because I think it's impossible to you see like at my phone and also everything has AI right now, right? And also you see the browser and even Google, or like any document when you write, there's always autocorrect, right? I
Mhm.
remember one of the English teacher even said that I asked students to turn off the Grammarly or like I was like, this is not nature. Just just to I don't know what's that mind setting. It's just like, oh, and use like a turn it in, right? And trying to get student, oh, this has AI um you know risk, right?
Mhm.
And also like give like every student receive like, oh, 70%, 85% this article is written by AI. And I remember one of the student said that, oh, actually, he didn't use AI. He just used AI to find resource and he rewrite it. But for some reason, because the topic, right, it probably being written so many times. So whatever your combination is, if AI say it, it's weird that teacher said that you couldn't use AI, but use AI to detect you. So
Yeah.
it's like,
I know.
yeah,
I know. So why are you benefiting from AI, but you're asking your students not to, right?
yeah,
You don't want them to skip the learning aspect, but that's also where teachers need to be creative. If we're
yeah,
asking them to do the same thing that AI can already do, what are you really asking them to do?
yeah,
I think we need to think outside the box on how we're presenting. And people don't like that.
yeah.
They want to be told, no, I just want to do the same old. Don't ask me to change. They need to stop cheating. Well, it's like, well, if this is being presented to them and this is an opportunity, either you're going to keep getting people cheating because you keep giving the same old that is not engaging for that student, not of interest whatsoever, not bringing in their own personal perspectives. Like the way that teacher did that, I think is brilliant because then they had to do a process of elimination, which one's the best based upon what I've seen. I'm having to process how this one presented versus this one. And why do you think that's different? And what do you think is biased in this one that wasn't biased there? I mean, then you're debating with people, you're having like really that's engaging learning, right?
Mm,
That's bringing it to the next level. It's helping them make decisions on where they stand on something too. The only thing I would say is that one day that might be the case, but tomorrow would be completely different with the same exact tools, right? It's
mm,
growing so rapidly. But the goal in that isn't that you're finding the best tool. The goal is you're getting your students to think about what they should be looking for when they are listening to AI. What kind of information are they asking? What information did they already know? If they knew nothing about that topic, and you're asking AI to go in and how would I detect that something's wrong with this? You have to have that prior knowledge in order to make best decisions. So, DelightX has released their like buddies that they have on there to where you have essentially a chat bot where it's a 3D object. You can animate that 3D object. It's a character that will then have conversations with you based upon the parameters that you've set up. So that prompt that you might give it, I actually made my character me. And I said, this is who I am. This is what I share on ARVR and edu.com. And then I made it a place, my DelightX immersive space was that teachers can go in and ask questions about resources. What kind of resources would you recommend for a math teacher, like you said earlier? For a math teacher is trying to teach this concept, proportionality. What are some tools? And then me as being the chatbot, right? I would then give based upon my website and all the resources that I have listed, it's then giving back, hey, in this case, these are some of the tools that I would recommend leveraging these aspects, right? So it's like I gave information that was going to be relevant. Is it 100% right? No, I was testing it. I went in, I saw the chatbot would respond in ways that I'm like, I wouldn't probably give that tool. Like you still need the human element there. But I do think that it is one of those ways that students can leverage maybe historical figures that are having conversations. Maybe they're bringing them into a situation where they're going into the emergency room and different people play different roles, and then you're setting up the prompt for those different chatbots and what somebody might be navigating inside of the emergency room. Whatever the case may be, our students absolutely cannot have their head in the sand. We absolutely can't say, let's unleash everything for them then. There has got to be a balance, and the balance is protecting our students first. And then really equipping them for their futures. So and then being diligent as educators to say, I'm not going to just do the same old anymore. Not because I don't want to, or not because it's not easy for me. What should be driving me is what is the benefit for my student today, considering all of these things.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of interesting debating, right? And also faculty need to shift, right?
Mm.
Shift their mindset instead of, oh, the same old all the time. Because I know that just by creating a curriculum, like as
Mm.
a instructor, right? I put
Right.
a curriculum 18 weeks, and every weeks I need to have, I need to create syllabus, I need to get approved, and I need to put all the details, and I always record all the stuff on my own, right? Everything, right? It took months, 2 months, right? Just to create one. And you see, like right now, technology, especially I'm teaching game development. You
Yeah.
see, like, for example, Unity, right? Unity this year and next year, Unity 6, right? And then next year, you don't know what's going on because you see codecs. I
Yeah.
saw a lot of my friends use codecs and start creating some text prompt and the 3D like shooting games. And I was like, is all the game engine is going to
Yeah.
yeah, and the Google, they have like a Google XR blocks. If you
Mhm.
have Gemini and Enterprise, I think education, I don't know, education
Mhm.
have that
Then
like a beta version. So when you click in, you can pretty much text prompt. Right now, if you need Google's Gemini AI Studio API put in order to create something meaningful. But I just feel like wow, it's so powerful because it's all linked to the Google XR, right? The new Project Aura, the new
uh-huh.
glass.
They're
So
yeah.
yeah, what do you see, for example, like, you mentioned the phone AR, right? What do you see the future of, immersive one? Because we all said that VR right now is sitting on the back seat because Meta drop, you see like a Meta Horizon World, they discontinue the VR and also
Yeah.
B2B, right? They drop it. So starting people start feeling panic. And for
Mhm.
me, I have a team. I usually tell my team, and I told my team said that for VR, that's because VR it took much longer, right? Because you need to cover the entire place, right?
Yeah.
And also the rendering system, and also we need to check this VR in order to publish your frame rate needs to consistent in the high
Yeah.
performance. So
Yeah.
it's much harder than AR. AR, you just have, a certain parts rendering. So what do you see the future of education, immersive education? Do you think still VR, right? Because people usually say, oh, VR. But do you see the AR, smart AR class will play an important role?
So I've been speaking this message for quite some time at the peak of the VR rise, that I don't think we're all gonna be walking around with VR headsets. I've been saying that from the very beginning. I think there's a lot that we can explore in WebXR. I think that that has been a push. I've been telling education companies for a long time now, because the cost of maintaining these,
Yeah.
specific devices and having those managed is not worth it. They're just wanting to hand out the cheapest device they can give them, which are Chromebooks, typically, maybe Neos now, but we're looking at this technology being very cost effective for schools, low maintenance for them. So doing some browser based, I think, is very, very smart on the education side. And again, I've been speaking about it for like probably 5 years, saying this is the direction we need to go when WebXR was really kind of starting and getting started. I know it's much more difficult and it's not as good as building the applications, but I think that there's been great progress. Now, on the other side of that is I do think there's a lot of potential. I've been saying this. 2017 is probably when I first started
Wow.
talking. Yeah, the glasses. Glasses are going to be the future. I think, honestly, Google Glass was just before its time. It was just too much of a shock. People are not ready for the privacy aspect. People still aren't, but, what do we do now? We scan our face to get into our phone. We give a thumbprint for things, I mean, we have no problem with that. It's like, yeah, if it brings convenience, just scan away. We're giving away a lot of information now than we weren't back then when Google Glass was released. But I think also the cost, it was a developer cost. I mean, it was never really made for the consumer at that cost. I think Meta has done a fantastic job at bringing that. I pre-ordered my Meta glasses. I've had 2 pairs since they first came out, and I will tell you that is the one thing on the productivity side that I use on a daily basis. I use my Meta glasses. Um, so I think, the Meta displays were released as the first kind of, and it $800. I mean, that's cheaper than phones. The technology that it has, the capabilities is pretty limited. So I think in the future it would be very, very wise for all of these companies, including Apple, that was supposed to release glasses. They ended up doing the Vision Pro. That was kind of a disappointment, but at least it's a step in the right direction. Way too costly, way unaffordable, way too individualized. There was just so many, issues when it came to classroom application, but really going in the direction of spatial learning is the direction we need to go. And I think glasses are going to be the best way of doing that. Now, what does that mean for education? It means we got a whole lot of privacy issues. It means we got accessibility issues for students that are using it as their glasses and their prescription glasses. And we got issues with testing and what information is out there now for everybody to see, videotaping, all the things that really come and arise from bringing in this technology. It's here. It's just not here to the masses quite yet. But I definitely think we're in a space to where that the cost, the way it's been presented, I've been sharing it from the get-go for several years now that it's been out. That it is the future. I really do believe it is.
Yeah, same as you. I worked for Meta in the past, and I have like a generation one and two
Yeah,
for just for
yeah,
working, but also I do daily basis. I walk my dog
yeah,
and I listen
yeah,
to audiobook.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, and I understand that there are a lot of like a privacy issue concern
yeah,
because I can tell you as part of Meta, working at Meta, I understand that everything, I don't really have anything that is not being public. I feel like a lot
yeah,
of my personal
I know.
data already being trained as an employee. So for
Yeah,
me, I mean, I know there are a lot of concerning, but for compare with a lot of people, right? They wanna being super private. I feel like I'm very open just because, hey, you've
yeah,
already know everything. So I
I
just
know.
like, whatever. I download like apps, so I take photo, take videos. And I
Yeah,
remember during COVID time, 2022,
mhm,
I had Meta, the first generation, just because
uh-huh,
I have work. I'm working on the UX UI side of the gallery, or the taking pictures side for Meta Ray-Ban. And then I remember I went to Habit, just wanna buy like hamburger, right? And I was
uh-huh,
like, yeah, maybe I wear it and then see if anybody notice. There's like a green dot, right? Like a
yeah,
lighting if I take photo recording. So I record myself walking to the nearby hamburger place. And then I remember I face to the, staff,
mhm,
ordering the food. During that time there wasn't a lot of kiosks. So I just
uh-huh,
order in person. And the staff look at me and just nothing happened. It's like, yeah, just normally and not even questioning why,
yeah,
you are wearing
oh,
something. Maybe Ray-Ban during that time was not that popular. So It's just a light, small lighting because I'm recording. And then I
Mhm.
just record the entire thing. And I even on purposely walk around and, looking at everybody, what they are eating, what they are talking, but nobody really noticed me. I'm just a person wear a
Yeah.
very big, kind of like a, big
Yeah.
frame types of glass. So I realized that, wow, so maybe it looks less, you know, gimmicky. Because if you wear Vision Pro or you wear Quest, one
Yeah.
time when I was hiking, I saw somebody wear Vision Pro and hiking. I was like, how can you eat?
Uh-uh.
It's
And it
very
gets so
uncomfortable.
hot.
Yeah.
Yes. That's one of the
Yeah.
biggest complaints is the heat on it. It is very uncomfortable. Like there
Yeah.
absolutely there's things that, doesn't make sense for a hike. Yeah, I think that that's a good point. Back in the day, I think most people didn't see. I actually went through a haunted house with it and they were like, "Hey, you can't do that." Like they saw it because the light in the dark.
Oh,
But
wow.
usually it's something that is pretty extreme before somebody recognizes. Most people don't because they're not
Yeah.
really looking for that unless they're talking to you. But I do agree that having that light is important. Most people don't want to have that light because they're probably trying to take video that they shouldn't be taking video for. They're figuring out how to kind of not. My daughter plays volleyball, so she hates when I pull out my phone and record her. But hey, I could record all day with my glasses and she has no idea, right? So I leverage it for live streaming. I'll do live streaming out of it. I think that there is something to be said about the communication. So there's just so many great things. Really, what makes glasses make sense is that it's seamless, that we don't have friction in our daily lives. And that's where the headsets were always bothering me. Nobody wants to wear a big, bulky headset when they're going somewhere, but
Mm,
glasses are something we can easily wear and to be able to still stay connected without the disruption. It used to be like disruption was good. No, disruption is bad. That is not mass usage when you have disruption in your daily life. So having something seamless like that, I think just makes everything naturally better and obviously more implemented.
yeah. Have you tried or do you have the display version of
I Yeah, I have. I shared at a conference this year. I have a friend who has a display. I went to go get a display, but it's like you have to go get it fitted for you and go through that process. And before the conference, I was like, I don't have time for that.
hmm,
But because you have to schedule it out, you have to go into the city to go schedule it out. Like for me, I live 2 hours away from Dallas. So
mm,
to get all the way out there to get fitted and then get my glasses and then wait for them to come in and go back and get them. It's the inconvenience of that. I don't know, that kind of bothers me. There should be something that's pretty standard, or make it more useful at other places and easier for them to purchase at other, eyeglass places rather than having to go into just a few different places offering it. But I do think that the way they're doing this right now is almost like my Oculus Go in the background. It's
mm,
right there. The first version of Oculus that came out that was really kind of that, standalone device,
mm.
uh, that was like the first version, right? I feel like the glasses are in the same boat. Like there's a lot of possibilities. Everybody wants to have AI easily available to them. They certainly want to have the video capabilities that it has. So I think that on that side, yes, I would say that this is where we're at. We're at the Oculus Go stage, and we're gonna see it get so much better and more worthwhile in the future.
Yeah, because I tried the display one at Meta Connect last year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's flat, right? And it's like a, UI, small UI, but I was impressed by, you can ask questions and it will
Yeah,
display. You can set that, oh, what's that painting, right? And it will give you all the kind of like a description. And also you can ask translation. Yeah. And also, take photo, all those like interesting stuff, and you can do, like the wrist, right? And you
yeah,
can do this.
yeah,
Um, maybe because I did like the development for the movement
yeah.
inside the Quest. So I think that this types of movement, I am fine with it. It's not really intuitive, But
Yeah.
once you start practicing, it's like a, moving around the menu, right? The bar. And I think in the future, maybe the thing about, remember long time ago we have the pin, right? I don't know, like the pin, right? The AI, the pin um here, and there's a projection, project
Mhm.
to your hands. I think that product failed. The reason why is because there are still a lot of people require high quality display. Yeah, so I think smart AR glass might be a better than a pin that is doing a lot of things. And besides, when we use our when we say, for example, like, oh, my home, right? There's a code, instead of using like the display to enter the code. If you just say it, you might have a lot of privacy issues. So I think some display might be needed, for example, phone, right? And
Yeah.
move to more like a ice kind of like a form fitted. So,
Mhm.
and I think we still have a lot to go. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Well,
this,
I'll say Hall Davidson's the one that let me borrow his display glasses, and I got to use it for the week of the event. And he the person that actually ran that station in the experience for me was Dean Gainey. He wrote an article about this because my best friend Mary Alice Curran, who we did the maze together, her husband is deaf, and he actually went into the glasses and had it do the captioning. And so when he was speaking to him, he's immediately reading it. Now, typically he has to read somebody's mouth. So to be able to have it, and then, you got differences of, somebody's accent, you have different, what if they're too far away and you
yeah.
really can't make out their mouth and try to make sense of it. So to have the captioning there for him to be able to hear, or that the audios that's coming through, he's able then to read what that is, was really powerful for him. So I think that there's opportunities within on the accessibility side that makes so much sense, and I'm really excited to see that, and really should be in all of our classrooms, right? Our students should have access to this technology too. So there's a future, 100% a future for that display. I hope they keep it going.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I do agree, because I do think that glasses you can use, because we live in the real world.
Yeah,
You can
right.
definitely use it besides anything. For example, for training, if you use VR, you only can. Every time
That's
when it's like once in a year, or in
yeah,
like one semester, and you buy the entire headset equipment, and later on you probably don't need it anymore. So I do think that in smart AR glass you can do it every day, right? Walk the
mhm,
dog, listening to
mm,
podcasts, and also there are a lot of things. For example, like I saw one of the Google demo. You were like, the person were like, "Hey, where's my key?" Right? Sometimes you just like, I forgot where's my wallet, right? It's also
yeah,
serving as ambient intelligence to kind of helping you to remember things.
right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, Google Maps, all the integrations that will be coming with that, absolutely. There's already
Wow.
augmented reality out there for it, so when it starts getting incorporated into the classes, it's gonna definitely be a game changer, so I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And what's that one thing you still like to share that we haven't touched on yet?
One thing I will say is when it comes to education, it's not like we're just throwing a bunch of things and seeing what sticks for our kids. I would really recommend any choice that you go down when you're choosing these different technologies is that you start off with your goal. What are you trying to accomplish? And oftentimes the best win is looking at where students struggle, bringing them something that they already understand just so you can bring it in augmented reality or virtual reality doesn't make sense to bring it into your classroom at all. If they've already gotten the understanding and they're already ready to move forward, unless it's really extending that learning, I don't think that's where you start. You don't start there. Start where they're struggling, identify where the gaps are, and then start looking for resources that are going to help bridge that gap. And I've never come to a conclusion where I couldn't find a resource for somebody. There's always something out there that is available and possible for our students.
Wow. Yeah. I think it start with also my background is UX UI designer. So it's always start with solving the problem, right?
Mhm,
So students, what they are struggling with is
mhm,
something that also you see the opportunities that we can
mhm.
make the experience better by integrating a lot of visualization or gamification to boost students' learning engagement. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episode weekly. If you enjoy this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you and see you next time. 人. Ren actually is human, two human. So the other side, two lines, that's two. And then that part is human, 人, human. So two
Human to human.
to human.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, to human. So that is that word. So yeah, so if we can based on human and especially community college, we have a lot of different background of people. If we can give them like a more like personalized, and I think AI can really help us. But also we also address a lot of like AI issues such as privacy, data, right? So pretty much we just go around the world. Yeah. So yeah, I really appreciate Rick, and it was really inspiring conversation. And that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. We release episodes weekly. If you enjoy this conversation, check out our other episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Support us by giving us a follow and a 5-star rating, or subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Thank you, and see you next time.